Hello, everyone. Welcome to the official online celebration of 50 years anniversary of Playback Theatre. My name is Sveta Balijska, and I'm honored to be the coordinator and the host of these global celebrations, and I'm also a board member of the Center for Playback Theatre. I'm founder and director of Playback Theatre Here and Now in Bulgaria. You might also know me from the interview series The First Generation Speaks, which continues throughout the year. And if you've missed any of the interviews, you can still watch them all on our YouTube channel. You can follow us in YouTube and also in Instagram and in Facebook if you haven't already. Today, we are here together from all across the world, from different time zones, languages, cultures, and communities to celebrate a form of theater that has transformed lives and created bridges and empowered countless people to share their stories with dignity and love. This year, we celebrate not only the origins of playback, but its incredible journey through 5 decades of connection, listening, courage, and creativity. The Center for Playback Theatre, founded by Jonathan Fox, supports training, ethics, accreditation, and initiatives across the globe. Together with our partner, the International Playback Theatre Network, we are celebrating this milestone year with monthly interview series, online peer supervisions, the Global Performance Initiative, stories that shaped us, listening hour practice worldwide, and our 50 years birthday celebration today on November 10th, 2025. Before we continue, some technical notes. This session is being recorded and will be published online without the performance. The Playback Theatre performance will be without recording and without publishing. By remaining here, you agree to that. Only the performance will not be recorded. Please keep your microphone muted during the event unless you will tell a story in the part with the performance. You can enable translated captions via the Show Captions translation option, but please note that they are auto-generated and might be not fully accurate. Now, I would like to introduce you the Board of Center for Playback Theatre, CPT, the global training and resource organization for playback practitioners worldwide. Founded by Jonathan Fox and Jo Salas, CPT offers accredited trainings, publications, leadership programs, support for playback schools worldwide, also affiliate school system, and resources for the global playback theater community. Our board members are Igor Lubitov,
Hi. Congratulations.
Beata Shomuji, Radhika Jain, Sikan Chunk, Damilola Potieri, Solinda Cash, Heidi Winters, Sheila Donio, Administrative Consultant, Mina Mo, and myself. So please present yourself and say whatever you want in this moment.
I want to say hello, and I'm very happy to be together. And this is the first time I'm celebrating online a birthday.
Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be part of this milestone celebration as a member of the CPT Board. And I'm really grateful for this journey and the community that we are and that we continue to grow with heart and purpose.
Hi, everyone. It's always good to see all of these faces around the world. Thank you, Jo. Thank you, Jonathan, for starting this. Thank you, everyone from all your different corners for persisting with their ideas and their first steps. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Hello, this is Gisela from Germany. I celebrated already 50 years of playback theater in Salamanca, and I see lots of familiar faces, which is very nice.
I will cut you because now the board of Center for Playback Theatre is being present themselves.
Sorry,
So
okay.
please, all of you, mute your audio until you are invited. Thank you so much for that. So now we continue with the presentation of the people from the board.
Greetings, everyone. What a joy it is to stand here celebrating 50 years of Playback Theatre, half a century of listening, reflecting, and performing stories into shared art. As we celebrate our past, we must also look forward to the next 10 years and beyond. Playback Theatre has always been about connection, the bridge between teller, listener, actor, and audience, self-community. But connection goes deeper when it includes everyone. So I hope that the next chapter of Playback Theatre would include more voices and more voices from Africa, from indigenous communities, from minorities who have too often been marginalized in global storytelling. So I want to wish Playback Theatre a 50th anniversary.
Hi, congratulations. One wise person said once to me, after us will be the stories that we had told and the stories that had been told about us. It's totally true with Playback Theatre, and I'm very, very happy that we are a part of this movement, and congratulations and thank you to our folders and all people who are developing the Playback Theatre around the world.
Hi everyone, my name is Mina from South Korea. What a wonderful and unforgettable gathering. I'm a head of the School of Playback Theatre Korea and a board member of CPT. I feel really deeply grateful that we are standing together in this living stream of playback history and that we are part of this beautiful community. Yay!
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Hello everyone, this is Sikan from Hong Kong and London as well. I'm now based in London and I'm very happy that we all here having our stories, and there are many more stories outside the world and community, and hopefully we can reach to more people later, like 50 years. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Soline from Lebanon. My mother tongue is Arabic, but today in half an hour or so, I will be conducting your stories in English. So it will be my first conducting in English outside a workshop setting.
Hello, I'm Heidi Winters-Vogel from the United States. I am so pleased to be on the CPT board and serve this wonderful organization and to see all your faces. What a wonderful tribute to what Jo and Jonathan put together 50 years ago. And as Celine said, here's to another 50 years.
Hey. Yes, thank you. Is Shewa here?
Yes.
Okay.
I can go. I'm enjoying how improvisational this all is. My name is Deb Scott. I'm on the CPT board. I live in the US, and this is such an heartwarming big embrace to see how many of us share something as profound as our stories and our love of sharing the stories. So enjoy the next 2 hours. I think you'll have an adventure with us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. So now we continue with the International Playback Theatre Network board members. The board members are Andrea Sandoval, Roberta Roberto, Ferran Luengo, Sheree Haley, and Kimberly Daly. And now we'll hear a sentence and greetings from Andrea, Roberta, and Sheree. Please welcome.
Hola, yo soy Andrea Sandoval de México y soy voluntaria en la IPTN. Estar en este lugar me ha permitido conocer un poco más a las personas practicantes de playback y cómo trabajan en equipo.
Sawubona, Molweni, Igamalam Ngushire, and I am all the way in South Africa. I am wishing Playback a happy birthday and reminded that Playback is nothing without its network and without a story.
Hello to everybody, il mio nome è Roberta, sono una playbacker italiana e in questo momento devo dire che sono molto emozionata ricordando le persone che ho incontrato anche attraverso l'IPTN e quindi il mio senso di gratitudine, ecco, senso di gratitudine ad essere qua con tutti voi. Grazie.
Thank you so much. We'll see you later in our Playback Theatre performance. And now we continue with our really, really special guests. And I'm sure you won't be surprised who these really special guests are. These are our founders, and we are so, so happy that they are here with us. And all year they were so supportive of all our ideas and celebrations. So please welcome Jonathan Fox and Jo Salas.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's just lovely to see. It's just lovely to see you. Honestly, that's the best thing. It's the best thing. And deep thanks to Sveta and the Centre for Playback Theatre for organizing this event and for organizing a whole year of celebration. It is your birthday. It is your anniversary. And I think there will be many more, and we will continue to make a place for stories that we can listen to and remember. Go ahead.
Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to us. Happy birthday, everyone. Happy Playback birthday. And it's a time for looking back, of course, but let's also, as Dami said, look forward. And actually, I have a challenge for all of you. The challenge is to find a community partner, or maybe another community partner, to help you bring playback theater to even more people so that they can tell their stories. Cheers,
Happy birthday.
everyone. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And now we'll have a small emoji moment. And let us see if you practiced playback for 20 plus years, you will put heart. But wait, let me explain all of it. And if you practice for 10 to 20 years, please put fire. If you practice for 5 to 10 years, please put a leaf and a star if you are a member practicing until 5 years. I put this all in the chat. So also please tell us where are you joining us from today. So we also can see our map. A lot of hearts and stars and everything. So this is really, really amazing. And now we will go back to the history of playback theater. Of course, we will look forward, but now Anastasia Vorobyova have something to share with us, and we'll begin our journey through the story of playback theater. Anastasia Vorobyova is former IPTN president, accredited trainer, and founder of Vozdukh Physical Theater Project and the International Playback Theater Camp. She will guide us through an interactive journey into the history of playback theater, its origins, growth, and the spirit that still carries us today. So, welcome.
Thank you, Tsveta. Hi, everyone. Wow, it's so exciting actually to have this 15 minutes to walk you through some milestones of the history of playback theater. And I just want to say, and maybe it will feel easy, I never did it in front of Jo and Jonathan. So I hope I will be correct in whatever I say. And it's only 15 minutes, but by my opinion, I always feel like to know more, where do we come from, is helping us to understand what are we now and where do we want to go, and holding and holding and sharing this playback theater method. So Damilola will help me with the presentation. Thank you, Dami. And let's begin. So 100 miles upstate New York, long time ago, approximately 50 years ago, the playback idea started to grow from Jo Salas and Jonathan Fox. Can we have next slide? And next. And next. And look at this people, Jo Salas with the violin, Jonathan Fox. I always, I really like all this crazy cool hair, Jonathan, you had. I think once I asked Jonathan, was you a hippie? And Jonathan says, no, but maybe the style looks like. So I really want to cherish, these two parents of playback theater, and just it's always so nice to see these black and white pictures from the past. Next. So I really like this quote. Playback theater has the power to enable dialogue, generate empathy, and build a deep sense of community between people. And that all of us, many of us, still not all, just gathered here today, it's already proven this idea, the sense of community. And I'm sure each of us who is now here looking at the presentation and at each other in the windows already have this, feeling of the community. And next, so I want to talk today about what influenced the idea of playback theater. Next. So let's start with little pieces. There is many more, but I just want to highlight something which, was touched me. So Jonathan's father was a professional actor. And I think there is something which also connects us around the globe. What do you think, why Jonathan's father didn't told him about his professional path till the very late age? What do you think why? What do you think why? So you can unmute yourself and just say something. And this thing why, I think it also connects us a little bit. Yeah, try it.
Money, money, money. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, let's be funny as well, right? I mean, even me, I'm from Russia. I do live in Berlin in the moment, but it's so many of us, even my generation, whose parents never want us to do art, to be actors, because they want us, not all, of course, but it's quite major, parents want us to be lawyers, doctors, something we can, take this life and earn some money in life. And, we have this phrase in my language that you cannot press the jeans with the finger. So I guess, our parents also passing the genes of, being artists and yeah. So next. Yes, playwright job as professor of theater in Institute of Connecticut and as an actor in New York. Of course, it's also, brought wider, ideas about, art and merging different directions together. Next. And Jo and Jonathan's family, as I read in the books, as I asked personally, so had this family tradition of social responsibility. Like when something is happening in the city, in the area, in the country, and people would just go on the streets and say, no, we don't like it. We want a different way. We want you to follow, path of democracy and so many things. And I know nowadays it's not so easy, I guess. I mean, in United States as well as in my country and in many other places to actually really, fight for democracy and all these ideas, which lies in playback theater, in what do we do, right? About human rights, about social justice and many other things. So yes, this desire of make change, everyone can make change was quite strong. Next. Yeah, experience at Harvard, and it's a quote also from the book Academic Research in the Field of Theater, which preserved the balance of structure and improvisation, entertainment and moral values. See, even here it's already merging, right? All of this about, us and social justice and, giving the voice for the people, and how do we do it through the art, through theater. Next. Now we soon coming to my favorite why, not yet, but soon. So I just want you to wave the hand. Who are you? Those people who met psychodrama or study psychodrama or even teach psychodrama. Can you just wave the hands? I will scroll and see. Yes, me too. Yes. It's a very, very big, thing of, what influenced playback. But we have lots of myths, right, about it. Some of us would say, no, playback grew out of psychodrama, which I don't think it's true, but it's influenced. It's brought lots of, nice things into playback. But I asked also Jo and Jonathan, so when and how about psychodrama? And the answer was, as I remember, so these two people in the first playback group, I guess, already start these ideas, start first steps, practicing the ideas of playback. And then Zerka Marena saw this, very new, very fresh ideas and said, actually, I really like it. So what about we have a barter? You come, you study for free, and I will, and instead you will, give these ideas and teach maybe our students of what you are doing. And of course, all those things like group dynamic, empathy, it's also came more in playback through psychodrama. But I see Hannah is commenting, actually Zerka married my dad's stepfather. That is how my dad was exposed to psychodrama. Wow, I didn't know. Thanks, Hannah. Do you want to say a little more?
No, that's fine.
That's very good addition.
Yeah,
Thank
it was a
you.
family connection.
Wow, I didn't know that. So I will put it in my collection of the history of playback. Great. Next, Danny. Next. So both Jo Salas and Jonathan was actually served as volunteers in a Peace Corps, I think it's called Peace Corps, in Nepal, Jonathan, and service abroad in Malaysia, volunteer service abroad as Jo. And I remember this amazing story which touched me. I know maybe many of you know this story, but I keep sharing this because I feel like, wow, this is so much magic and power in simplicity in those simple stories. So Jonathan was sent to Nepal from the Peace Corps. I remember this quote when you, Jonathan, was sharing about it, like you, white American, was sent to Nepal to teach, do something around agriculture on the soil of people who live there, which already was a little absurd. But also your life there was not so easy. Jonathan's life there wasn't so easy, right? Languages, right? Different cultures, many other things. And it was once a lady came to the house, to the teeny tiny house Jonathan states. I forgot what's the name of the people in Nepal who would walk from one place to another, and if they come, you need to share food or give a space to stay. So this lady would stay for many days. And Jonathan was quite sad and depressed, and imagine the life, so far away from your home and feeling lonely. And then once in the morning, so their eyes met actually, and this lady, like a little kid, would tease, mimic the face and sadness of Jonathan. She just would do this, funny face, sad face. And that was the moment of understanding, where it was quite touching, right? That somebody, even by this simple thing, let us know that they understand us, they understand our feelings. So I guess this also, was a big influence of it. And I'm sure there is many more stories like this. And in playback theater, we always look for, for simplicity and the gifts of it. Next. And it's amazing because many, many decades after, playback theater came to Nepal. Right, and I know here is Anne Dirnstorfer and her colleagues who made this wonderful movie made by people from Nepal. How amazing the circle was. Like playback came after the war as an instrument, right, of dialogue and reconciliation, and now there is many playback groups who is actually practicing playback in Nepal. Would they even know? That time, right? Next. Oh yes, 1974. This is what Jonathan wrote in a diary. I feel that this is an important thing to try, and I'm willing to spend years of my life to this. And it happened. Yes, it happened. It was like this all these years until now, and I hope it will continue for many more years for Jo and Jonathan actually writing amazing books, which we need so much. Songs, books. Next. And this is silver pin. This is silver pin. The first group made it, I guess, from the first fee from the performances. And this little person, I'm sure all of us knows it. I guess it was Jo who drew this, by her hand. And lately, it became the logo of IPTN, International Playback Theatre Network. Look at this pin. I want to see it. I want to touch it. But that's amazing. We have all those photos. Next. Oh yes, this is the logo of IPTN, but not only IPTN, this is the logo of Playback Theatre in general. Sometimes we use on posters, and this little people very much imprinted into our hearts and minds. Next. Yes, look at this picture. This is the first group of Playback Theatre. I want actually to cherish all those people, not only Jo and Jonathan, but all those people who've been in the first group. And look, Jo holding this little baby. Hannah, is that you?
Let me look. That's Maddie. That's my sister.
Ah, it's your sister.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Maddie.
Where were you this time?
I was probably playing with something somewhere else.
Okay.
I was if she was a little baby, I was about 6.
Right. He was about 6.
Maybe I was outside playing with the bugs, the worms.
Oh, it's so sweet. Wow. And look at these costumes. I think in one of the books, they said they used these costumes thinking like it will relax audience to those, to tell stories, but very soon people would share, generous stories and deep stories, and they changed the uniform on just something more simple. And yes, all these names I put, and I think it's nice to remember actually them when mentioning about founding Playback Theatre. And next, I'm almost coming to the end. I don't know why this photo is in my presentation. Next. Yes, here is few more amazing pictures. Look, here is Jo and Jonathan, and look, I guess this is the workshop taking place in the university, I think, on the bottom right. Next. Oh yes, here's more photos. Look, this is the first group playing, and I guess it's at the street festival outside. Yes, and next. Oh yes, Hudson River, by Hudson River, right. And in 1980, that was already, first group invited to Australia to teach, workshops and, teach them this method. I know, I think Sydney Playback Group have amazing few movies actually about, starting the playback in Australia and how was it for them and how it is now. So yes, this for people, Jo, Jonathan, Judy Swallow, and Michael. I think Michael is here now. Yes, so this is the photo from the first tour to Australia. And since that, next, they built the companies in Sydney, Melbourne, New Zealand as well, Auckland and Christchurch, and some of them exist till now. Oh, sorry, Hannah, yes, you're right. It's a different Michael who is no longer with us, so we will talk about it on the last slide of my presentation. And next. Yes, the form of chorus was invented in Australia, by the way, that year, I think, at the workshop. So this picture I took from IPTN journal, and yes, see, which says the chorus in Playback Theatre, because originally it was just a few forms, right? Fluid, pairs, and a free form. Wow. Interplay. That time, this journal called Interplay, and now it's, it's changed the name, but the idea of the journal from International Playback Theatre Network stays the same, even though names are different. Yes, next. Yes, and then, very quickly, this playback virus in a good way, spread it around the globe very quickly. And first countries after Australia was Switzerland, Finland, Italy, Japan, Sweden, Hungary. So people really like this idea. So either from psychodrama or artist field or just none of this field, people was more and more interested in playback. Next. Yes, and in 1991, so they realized, I guess, we need to see each other. It's so many of us. Let's come together. Let's see each other. So that's how, actually, by Jo and other colleagues, the International Playback Theatre Network, IPTN, actually created first time in 1991. Next. And if IPTN is about conferences, about helping us to connect and helping us to exchange, and of course, first conference was in Australia as the first country after US, right? As a second group actually in the world was built there. So the Australian host the first ever playback gathering. Next. Yes, this is just the list of the gatherings, and I just want to remind you that I see Andrea is sitting here because the next conference, International Playback Conference, will be in Mexico. This is quite amazing in 2027, and this is here all the list of the conferences. You can see which countries was hosts, and maybe some of your country might be the next for the future, so think about. Yes, November 1st till 1st to 5th of November, Andrea, thank you. Mexico 2027. Yes, next. And CPT, a Center of Playback Theatre, was also created for supporting the quality of education, right? So we can continue, we can keep going, we can teach others how to do playback theater. So both organizations was saying hi at the beginning of the presentation. So you can, investigate more how they work and, what you can do with it. Next. I think I put this slide because I think it's quite amazing, because in 2013, Jonathan and Jo has been nominated on Alternative Nobel Prize for Courage and Social Transformations in the World. They didn't get it, but the nomination and going through many stages to be very close to this prize, I think it's important for all of us and for playback theater that actually social transformations in the world, that's what is happening by, playback for many of us. So I decided to show this, important thing to you. And next. Oh, yes. And playback is young, but also, from my perspective, old enough for some people to start saying goodbye. Those people who was actually some of us because of them as well. So I just want to take a moment and invite you to take a moment. And there is many more I put on this slide, those people I know, or some of them was my teachers like Veronica Nida, Joseph Paradi, right? So here on this slide, so you can see Mary Good, Bridget Brandon, right? Jody from Hudson River Playback Theatre, Veronica. Joseph was my actually first teacher. And with the music, I invite us to take a minute, and maybe you can unmute yourself, and at the same time, or write in the chat some names of those people who is no longer with us, who was actually a big part of playback theater or your playback group or your community. So let's take a moment to cherish this. So those people are also our roots in different ways. I see you putting some names in the chat. It's very, very, very important. So hopefully we can actually save the chat afterwards, maybe with all those, important names, so we can have it for the
was
record.
draining. Everything was. I just knew my face.
Ah, what is this? Who is trying to knock to our Zoom? Yes. Thank you. So please, if you remember more names, don't hesitate to put it in the chat so they can be with us during this celebration today, and of course always remembered by us in our hearts and in our mind. Yes, thank you for this. Yes, let's take a breath, and last slide. Next, you can stretch, and Dami, you can put the next slide. Yes, now playback exists in more than 80 countries, and I choose this quote from Veronica Nida that, you can print screen or copy paste this just to read later, but I will read it just once. We in Playback Theatre embrace the unfolding of life and the inherent spontaneity of persons and communities within their cultural, social, and political contexts. We always remember that. This is the biggest challenge actually we care nowadays, I guess. I see some people nodding their heads. We recognize the universal longing for affirmation and for connection with others, right? It's true. And the spontaneous enactment of personal experience in playback builds connection between people by honoring the dignity, drama, and human lives and universality of their stories. Veronica Nida. Thank you, Veronica. So I hope she can hear us. And of course, now you can switch it off. Yes, so this is the last slide. I'm sitting now, with this question as, lately, all these months and years, like, what is our needs as a playback community nowadays? And there is not only one need, so there is no right or wrong, thinking, but we always think like navigating this playback ship. What is the needs? Where do we go now? What is most important? And so thank you. I hope in most parts of my presentation I was correct, and really thank you for this honor to invite me to do this small history recap for you. Thank you, Tsveta.
Thank you, Anastasia Vorobjova, presenting part of the history, because maybe there is so much more, but thank you so much, Nastya. It was really inspiring, and even for people like me that dig a lot about it, there was new information, so I'm happy about that. And because we have the luxury of having Jonathan, Jo, and Hannah Fox here, I just want to ask if in this presentation there was something important missing, or something that wasn't exactly as you remember or lived it. So please do share just a word for us to be like calm that the things are like this, because so we have the pleasure of having you here, three of you. And
I think my parents left. I don't think they're here anymore.
No. Oh, okay. But do you want you to say something? Was it like
I
that?
hope, Hannah, I hope they left not because my presentation. No, but I was sorry. I was checking with Jonathan and Jo this presentation. Of course I did.
I mean, there were little things that I think could be that weren't totally accurate, so we can just talk about it later. It's not so important. The experimental theater movement of the 1970s was a really huge influence on my dad, particularly, where there's no fourth wall. You're all creating the event together. So there's some specific theater companies in the States, but even Pina Bausch and really influenced him. And Paulo Freire from Brazil, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, really influenced him as well. So there are a few maybe other influences that I would add. My mother's family had a very strong history of social justice. My dad's family, not so much. There was one slide where it seemed like my dad was an actor in the city, but it was my grandfather who was. Anyway, there's a few little things. I think it was wonderful, and I'm moved to see the original Playback Theatre company members always, because it was, and Anne Belmont is here, I think, on the call, and she was there at the beginning. Hi, Anne. She was one of the original musicians.
Come, please.
And it was really a group together that created this method. It was my dad and my mom, but it was all of those folks. So, yeah, where do we go from here? Thank you so much.
Yes.
Please
thank you, Hannah. Thank you, sister. I just want to mention one thing. If any of you have some more pictures from the history or notes, so please, if you can, send it to me, because it's my collection. I really appreciate it. And pieces by pieces, bits by bits, you know, I have the different folders for different, you know, times of playback. It's my playback kink.
Thank you so much, Nasta. And Hannah, I want to ask you, what stands out for you nowadays, Hannah, and for us practicing now, celebrating, I mean, the 50 years.
What's the question?
What stands out for you now while we celebrate from the years from your childhood and your practice and everything?
Just say the question one more time. I'm not understanding.
What stands out? What is your
Oh,
highlight?
what stands out? What stands out? What stands out? Big breath. Well, I mean, the first thing is just look at this, 177 folks on this call, right? So it has become a movement. It is fierce, it is strong, it is resilient, it is effective. And then there's some spots where it hasn't been effective. So, right, so there's still some bridge making to do. There was a recent US gathering a week ago that I wasn't able to go to, but there are other folks here who were there and who organized it. And I think there was some really great work that was done there. So I think we just have to keep gathering and chipping away at this peace, this vision of peace. And I love that there's a plug for the center in terms of training, because I think we need to try to remember the roots of the tree. And because there is playback in 80 countries, there's lots of interpretations of what playback is. So I appreciate the time to think about the history and the roots, and let's grow even bigger, and try to stick together and try to listen to one another, not just our communities and our partners and the organizations we work for, but maybe we can try to listen to each other even more.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And now
Thank
we'll
you.
continue. Thank you so much, Hannah. And now we'll continue to a film screening, which will be presented by Deborah Scott. It's called Origin Story. And it is a short creative reflection called Origin Story, as I said. And Deborah is a CPT board member and playback trainer. And this is a poetic visual offering reminding us where we came from. And maybe after the movie, we can invite Anne that we mentioned, if she will be here with us, so she can also come and say a few words from her memories. Deb.
Thank you. And Nastya, what a great lead up to this particular segment of our day together. This is Jonathan and Jo's own words. So we have the story, the meta story, and we have this intimate story. In July, Jonathan and Jo took time to visit some of the places and spaces that were the incubators of what became Playback Theatre. So that was to spur their memory on, and the stories followed. Stories of the invention and the discovery of those early years, that first decade, actually. That's what we have captured for you today. So this is an oral history. It was filmed and edited by Joshua Milo, and I hope you enjoy it.
There's a story to be told, a story to be told. It might be yours, it might be mine.
Well, do we start with It's All Grace, or
Yeah,
do we
I
start
think we
with
do.
Playback Theatre?
No, I think we
Playback
start with
Theatre.
It's All Grace.
So we had a theater company in Connecticut called It's All Grace. We did devised pieces on beaches and that kind of thing. You know, it was very 60s, 70s. When I had the kind of just the vision of something that was playback, I introduced it to this group. And we even did one show in Connecticut without any, just acting out people's stories. But they weren't so interested.
The other members of the company.
Yeah, there were personal reasons as well, but that led us to move to this part of New York, and part of the move involved starting a new company that ended up being called Playback Theatre.
We moved in August, and by November we had a group. So it was 1975, and there was such a lot going on socially and artistically, politically. It was a real, you know, a time of upheaval. When I think back, I think of this as very much like a product of that there was sort of this sense that you could do anything, you could create anything. You know, I have this idea, let's just make it happen. We didn't feel constrained by what had been done before or what anyone else thought was possible. We weren't constrained by having no money. We had no money. But it was a powerful idea. So we were a young couple. We'd been together, we'd been married for about 6 years, five, 6 years at that point. I was a fairly recent immigrant to the US. We had one little girl. And so we were just, you know, young, finding our way, didn't really have careers.
Well, when you say that, we did have, we pursued things though.
We did pursue things.
And by the time we started Playback, I had discovered my career, which I could never describe, you know, even years and years later. It had to do with drama, with theater. It had to do with personal stories. I mean, from the minute I tried something in the public library in Connecticut with adults, you know, just putting together things on the spot.
It was sort of partly about bringing out other people's creativity.
It was, and their creativity and their stories. Jo's a multi-talented person. She ended up pursuing playback with us, you know, and that used all of her talents, really.
That's right. That was another thing that I used my sewing and design, I used my music, I used my writing, all of that.
I don't remember exactly what I said to the people I gathered. I told them the basic idea, and I invited them to come to check it out in that church hall in Beacon. I know I was anti-traditional theater. I was doing something experimental. We didn't do a standard you know, theater audition. We would do a workshop, and we would do a long process where they got something out of it. But many times we took people that turned out to not work out.
I was imagining this very nimble, tight, artistic ensemble that would, you know, make brilliant theater out of people's stories and would change the world. The reality was this kind of motley crew of people
And I remember like looking around thinking, we're never going to get there with this group of people. It's not the right group of people. But then we did. It was a question of time and people learning and practicing and some people dropping away. And we did end up with this very well-knit, effective ensemble.
It took a while in the sense that we started experimenting, and I don't know how many rehearsals, nothing special happened on stage until one day at a rehearsal we had some guests, and one of these guests told a story, and it was a very serious story, and the actors acted it out, and from the teller's response, as well as the enactment, as well as the story, all these things put together, we all knew that the power was there. You know, from that moment on, we knew it could work. Of course, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have all the forms, but just as we needed to test the idea in our rehearsal, we needed to test it with an audience. We got quite a good response, right? I mean,
well, I had to miss that first show because,
right, because your mother was
my mother was arriving from New Zealand and her flight was delayed for 36 hours or something. So
Jo missed our first show, which was typical family and friends. But the second show was on the children's ward of a hospital. And the third show was at an academic conference. So these were three really different settings. And at all of them, people wanted to tell stories.
And those experiences of people wanting to tell and telling something that was meaningful to them and feeling gratified to see it played back, that fed our sense of ensemble, our sense of purpose and direction. It was very incremental, you know. We would try something, it worked, some of it didn't work.
We did combine, you know, a humanistic and respectful approach. I'm thinking of that hospital performance where the kids, half the kids were in beds that they had wheeled in, and we asked for stories and there was no response, and we're thinking the kids are really ill, they're on drugs, you know, they're too kind of half asleep, and it looked like it was complete failure. And one kid just said something like, boop. And our actor, Vince Furfaro, who just passed away, a wonderful guy, I'm moved to say it. I mean, he connected with that kid. He listened to that kid. He acted out that boop, that sound. And suddenly the stories started to come. We had stories from the kids, we had stories from their parents, because it was visiting hour, we had stories from the nurses, and it all started with Vince's heartfulness. But we were also bold and brave. You know, I thought of ourselves as a new form of experimental theater. We did some pretty crazy things. I mean, for example, that academic conference performance, because I felt, you know, these must be very intellectual people who had been, you know, having serious discussions all day. We went behind a screen on the stage, and we entered in street clothes and started throwing our street clothes over the screen, you know, undressing, and then came out in our playback overalls. You know, so I wanted to wake them up.
They didn't know what to make of it.
So,
but they did end up telling stories.
Yeah, they did. But early on, we were trying to discover what's now called the ritual, meaning we needed a structure. We needed a clear structure because this improv was just too uncertain. You know, what do you do in between the stories? How do you sit? You know, what's your presence? What's the kind of shamanistic element that helps give it both safety and power? So we held a Japanese tea ceremony workshop, and we hired somebody to come and teach us tea ceremony, and it happened here, you know, and it involved an incredible amount of bowing, and it felt very weird, and it did help us indirectly.
There was one element that was quite challenging, which was that one of the members of the company had a husband who was flamboyant, we could say, and loved costumes, loved outfits. And he showed up to the tea ceremony sort of in full samurai gear. And it was just ridiculous. He wasn't trying to be funny, but he was ridiculous. And so it was challenging with all of the kind of bowing and seriousness that we had to keep our composure with this guy. I mean, did he actually have a sword? I think he had a sword. Can I talk about this space? It was a barn, dirt floor and
half dirt floor.
But some of us actually came and put down this wood floor. Somebody was organizing it, supervising it, but it was just local friends and neighbors doing the labor. This place opened in 1976.
This is where we performed. You can fit 30 people here, and it's an intimate space, and it's close to the earth, so that appealed to me, to us.
Yeah, it was a daytime performance. A lot of families and kids there, and that was Unison's first show.
5 or 6 years later, when we started to do our first training workshops, and people started to come from far away, and part of our ethos was to host them as well as teach them. There's a nice field out back where people put up tents. There's a kitchen back there, so we could feel comfortable here. It's the opposite of renting a hotel room to do a workshop.
Or a conference room
or a
or something,
conference
yeah.
room. That's not what we were aiming for. In time, this place became too small and too humble for the number of students who wanted to come. As hard as I tried to put playback on the map in a traditional way, I worked very hard to get people to review us, and failed because the typical reviewer would say, I need to read the play first. People didn't review improv. It was a kind of surprising word of mouth process.
So we had this relationship with the Moreno Institute. So students from the Moreno Institute studying psychodrama would come to our open rehearsals of performances when we were in Beacon, just that first year. And then they go back to where they came from because they were international. And often they would kind of plant a seed, which was mostly Europe. Then the other was New Zealand, Australia, where we were invited. That was very generative. And we did workshops and performances in 4 major cities. And at each one of those locations, a company formed and kept going for decades. A couple of them are still going.
In Australia and New Zealand, in each case, we first did a training workshop. And then after a week, we did performances where we selected 4 people from those training workshops to perform with us. So what they lacked in skill and knowledge of playback, they made up for in knowing the culture and stories of the people. So those performances worked, even though, of course, we weren't a tight ensemble. This model also helped propagate it because they were very inspired and emboldened from the successful performances to then continue playback in their home city. People saying you must feel so great or so proud that playback is now all over the world and so forth. The process of being asked these questions has focused me and us on thinking about those early years. It's made me appreciate how much hard work we put in, how dedicated we were, what a team we were, what a powerful team we were, how much we complemented each other. We had rocky moments, to be sure, but we managed to talk about it. And that's what I'm proud of.
50 years is a long time to be doing something with another human being. Yeah.
Lives are made of stories. Stories build the world. Listen, remember the stories we have told.
Wow, this was so touching. Thank you so much.
Yes. I'm always touched when I see that last tender moment, I have to say. And that Listen and Remember was composed by Jo and sung by Jo. And we have many more minutes, almost hours of footage. So at some point, it will become a bigger film, I hope. So yes, thank you all for watching. Yes, and
so
thank you,
much.
Joshua. Yeah, yeah.
And the songs Jo published online, so maybe some of our team can put in the chat. The whole album of amazing songs are now out, so you can enjoy them. I will ask again if Anne Belmont is here or not. So if you're here, please welcome. And also, Sheila Donio will say a few words about the name of Playback Theatre and why it's called Playback Theatre. So, welcome, Sheila.
Thank you. I'll be quick. It's just a story that we rarely hear. Do you know why Playback Theatre is called Playback Theatre? Because we're doing this thing for years and a lot of us never learned about it. And in one of my researches a few years ago, I collected this story from Judy Swallow and from Jo Salas. So after a few months of practicing with that company at Moreno Institute, Jonathan gathered the whole company around a dinner table and said, okay, let's come up with this name together. Let's find a name that works. And they were using like typical psychodrama methods and trying names and talking to the name, playing role reverse and talking to the names. Hey, name, how do you feel about representing what we do? And that took hours. And then after a long time, someone came up with this name of a movie from 1972, Play It Again, Sam. And they were like playing with that name. Play it again, Sam. Play theater. And that's how they came up with it. And the word playback in several countries is used for when you have the song and behind you playing and you're just link syncing with a song and you have the playback with it. They didn't know about it. So they just got it from that movie. Play it again, Sam. So it's been 50 years. We're playing it again.
Wow, yes. As in
Thank
some
you.
languages, as in Bulgarian, it means lip singing, which is for us is a little difficult to explain to our people here. So
Same
it
in Brazil.
yeah, but of course, as I said this to Jonathan, he said we never knew it will get out of United States, so we didn't know to think about all those many things. So thank you so much, Ewa. Now we continue with the trailer of the movie Living Stories, The Roots of Playback Theatre that was presented in European Playback Theatre Gathering in Salamanca in 2025, produced by Anne Dirnstorfer and directed by Mohan. And Anne is a social scientist, mediator, and theater trainer. She began her playback journey 20 years ago and developed an acting dialogue peace building project in Nepal. And Mohan is a filmmaker from Kathmandu, known for powerful documentaries on social and political topics. He followed the playback journey in Nepal when Jonathan returned in 2016. And from that experience, the idea of this full-length documentary was born. The film tells the story of Jonathan and Jo's path, the values of playback, and early inspirations from places